Hi, everyone. This episode has a trigger warning for trauma and social coercion.
Hello and welcome to episode 193 of Masters of the Forge. Regular.
Yeah, we're regular.
Take four. Hello and welcome to episode 193 of Masters of the Forge. I'm Adam. You're Jason. Hi, Jason.
I am. Oh,
hi, Jason. And you're the listeners. I'm sure they cheer. They cheer every time they turn
That's
on
right.
the podcast. They're like, why have I not unsubscribed? I am just too lazy to remove this from my list. So, Jason.
Yes.
Long time no see. So, my hobby progress. Just getting right into it. No banter. Just hobby progress.
Yeah.
I finished the Iconoclast, the War Master, Bring Master, or
that thing,
the big Titan. So I finished the highlights, which was a lot. Did it all by hand. I tried using the airbrush and it spat it all over. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done with this. No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Like when you were just running air through it, or just when you were painting, period?
Paint.
Okay, so
flow
improvers
I just can't airbrush anything. It's fine. So on these guys, I wanted it to look like Martian bases, right? So the old ones, I was able to replicate the scheme from the other three warlords, and it's what I do is I have that super fine like hobby sand, which you can get from Michael's.
Yeah.
Or
your local train stores.
Or your local train store. It's a lot of like kids use it to fill like little glass bottles full of sand for like projects.
Yeah.
And so it's really fine grit, which is really great for these giant titans. You don't want it to look like regular sand. But then I add a few rocks in there from a few coarser grit sand granules because there's a few like boulders and stuff on Mars. So once it's all dry, I paint the whole thing black and I apply the rust weathering powders directly to the black. So it creates like a thing where this red dust is in the crevices and under the rocks, but the rocks themselves are still kind of this dusty black color, which is intentional. I like the way it looks. This time I actually created like a little shanty, like a little shack.
Yeah.
And also I took some plastic card and cut a foundation wall out of it and glued that to the base as well. Looked like a building that had been demolished a long time ago.
I have one question. After you put the weathering powder on, do you fix it with like a matte varnish, or
do I hate myself? Yes, I do. So this time,
good.
All right. So there's Fixer that you can buy. That's never worked for me. You can use watered down PVA. I've heard. Not too watered down though. Some people use alcohol, which I don't know how that works as a fixer.
I don't either.
Honestly, these weathering powders are meant to just sit there, right? So I mean, even after you wet them, they do, and they like harden a little bit. They will look more dry than just pigment, like paint pigment, which is fine. So what I did with these this time around was I put the weathering powders down like a layer of the brown rust, and I fixed it with like a 50-50 of Lamy and medium and water. And that worked okay. But when it was still tacky, I went back and I added some more to it. So it kind of still stuck a little bit, if you take my meaning.
Right.
And after I sprayed flat varnish on the model, on the entire model, again, while it was still tacky, I went and I added some more of the red rust onto the base. Not like all on it, but more kind of where I wouldn't be touching it a whole lot.
Okay, like highlight raised parts where you're not going to get your fingers in there.
Yeah,
okay.
It's still going to flake. I hate weathering powders, but for basing, it's okay. And it's like on these Titans, it's, that's another note that I think a lot of you have probably heard. You don't want the weathering powders too far up on their legs because it's not a infantry model, it's a Titan. And its feet are like its toe is as tall as a person. So like keep those weathering powders down at the foot level. Okay. Not much higher, in my opinion, at least for a cleaner look.
Because I picked up at Adepticon, I was given a set of weathering pencils, I think. And I haven't had a chance to open them up yet, and I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to weather my Titanicus models. I
like the sound of that. I have often weathered with graphite, like with regular graphite pencils. Yeah. I've done that on my orc vehicles before. It's It's legit. Yeah. Like doing like edge, like getting like if you put your rust down and then lightly graze the rust with the graphite pencil, that's a thing, because that represents some of the bare metal showing through the rust, because even a rusted piece of metal, if it gets rubbed, it'll look like fresh metal underneath. And like sometimes I'll use it for exposing paint, like paint's been rubbed off and exposed some metal. Yeah, it's I like that for that's not even a weathering pencil, that's just a lead pencil, or a graphite pencil. Give that I'd look up some video on how to use the weathering pencils, because I would very much be interested in hearing how that went, because it sounds like a much easier to control process than weathering pigments. Yeah. But it's probably like everything else, right? It probably has a time and a place and a specific job that it's good for. It probably
works really well for certain things and absolutely terrible for others. Yeah.
Yeah, just like everything else. So I got my 5 Free Guild Outriders primed and ready to go. It was during the Bad Movie Hangout with the guys the other day. I did try to do one, as I was talking about, with the vampire, like the Blood Knight horse. I put a Blood Knight horse together and tried to put one of these riders on it. It just didn't work out. Right. The scale of the Blood Knight horses is just way too off. Okay. It's way too big. It would stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm gonna stick with these 5 regular Outriders with the regular horses. I think I've decided I might do these horses a gray instead of black. I think that'll contrast a lot nicer, but still have kind of a spooky look.
Well, if you have Dawnstone.
Well, yes, I've got plenty of Dawnstone now.
That's whenever I paint my who's I'm painting? My Raven Guard, I normally do gray and then wash with Nuln Oil to give it kind of a that sort of appearance rather than like a dark blue or something like that. Yeah. So that'll work. It'll look cool.
I think so. Yeah. I've been getting ready for for Gen Con. Yay! Which is next week. So from the very beginning, I did have like a game planned with Dave, Grenial Vex. Maybe not. I'm not sure if we're playing a game or if we're just going to go to Kuma's Corner. Either way, we're going to meet up And I know that Couchman and Chris the Object are going to be there too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I can't get 3 games. There's no way I can get 3 games, and it's not going to happen. It's like more of a family trip.
Yeah.
So I can't, and Quinn's going to be there, so I can't just ditch Wendy with Quinn for 9 hours. It's not going to happen. So I'll try to figure something out. Maybe we can all hang out while Dave and I play, or we can just meet up and chat for a bit or whatever.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool because we talk online all the time.
That's right.
So that's it for me. It's been kind of slow going here as far as hobby, but it's summer. Things are ramping up.
Yeah.
What about you,
definitely. Buddy? So I'm moving. I think I mentioned that in our last episode.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting because
sorry.
Shut up. Well, I keep finding stuff that I painted and forgot I painted. Like I found a few what was it? AdMech kits that I've painted up completely, and I completely don't remember doing it. I remember thinking about doing it, but I didn't do it. And I finally found the rest of my Death Guard because I didn't know where any of it was. And then I just started finding them in various areas. And then last night I found the Breachers. So that's kind of cool. And I think I'm going to blame COVID for this, for me not remembering stuff because, I'd paint stuff and it's like, well, I'm not playing. So let's put this up and paint something else. I also found a few new in box kits that I bought and then just kind of forgot about them, because of, just being busy during COVID. So that was kind of weird and funny, I guess. I don't know. It makes me think that this year, the rest of the year, I may be trying to keep purchases to a minimum just because moving all of this is just like, what am I doing? What have I done to myself?
On wood. Yeah, we all tell that to ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you, but
yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't believe it either, but
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, the game is played.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's go beyond the
So, as y'all might have guessed, neither one of us got any games, and because
we did the last episode only like a week and a half ago, so it's fine. It's fine. It's summer. Everybody's doing stuff. Everybody's having fun. I have been watching the new mini wargaming campaign, which is they're doing a good job with these.
That's the
Death Watch on a Craft World situation, and there's some cool surprises
that's a new
in
one.
there. Yeah, you guys should check it out. So if you're not getting a lot of games played because it's summer and there's a lot of kids stuff happening, check out Mini Wargaming. They have some good stuff happening.
Yeah, the last thing I was watching was I didn't finish it either. Was the it was bad. Okay, well, Battlefleet Gothic that then would drop into almost not Zone Mortalis, but into 40K games. So. And that's been a couple of weeks, so I'm guessing they've finished that one and gone to a new one. I'm glad.
They're doing a great job. I wish I could do like more narrative stuff when we go there, but I know that it's impossible to do a really meaningful thing in a couple days. So but it's really the content has been really fun.
Yeah.
So Beyond the Fringe. So this week I hiked Big Slide, which is Sunny's second high peak.
That's cool.
I did start a blog for the hiking called sunny46.com. Check it out. It was tough. It was pretty tough. Yeah. And I forgot to put my phone and my watch on airplane mode.
Oh.
So funny story. We were coming, so it's a Big Slide is the high peak, and then there's another peak off to the side that's like, it's almost 4,000 feet. Might as well do it and do
Right.
the loop instead of down and back. And we're coming off this mountain, and at the bottom, a tree is down, and the tree has the blaze on it, which is the arrow pointing in the direction you need to go. So there's no way of knowing which way you're supposed to go. Right? Because first of all, the tree came down, so it messed everything up. It's hard to see where the trail goes. And of course, the trail is not pointed. So I open my phone to my hiking app, and I look down, and it starts to like materialize on the screen, and the phone shuts down because I didn't have any juice. I literally had no way of knowing where I was going except for trail markers. So I started pecking around. I'm like, oh, I think this is the trail. All of a sudden, I'm in wilderness.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I try to turn around and retrace my steps. I'm like legit getting lost here, right?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. Like, if I can't find the trail, I can always turn and start going back uphill and eventually get the trail that way. But like, I had already gone. Yeah, I had come down most of the mountain at that point. So it would have been going up this other mountain again, up the big mountain again, and then down the big mountain again. It would have been. Oh, did I mention it was 90 degrees and 93% humidity?
You mentioned that on Discord. So for those of you who aren't Discord, you could hear about this stuff.
I had finished that hike, like the major part of the hike by 10 a.m. So, or 11 a.m. I was down there by 11 a.m. So if I had, it would have been the hottest part of the day. I would have climbed both mountains for the second time.
Yeah.
Fortunately, someone with a working phone came by and was like, yeah, this is fine. And we started following the trail using his phone. All of a sudden, we're in wilderness.
Oh, okay.
Like, wait, what happened? I'm like, yeah, I remember seeing this. I've been here before. This is not the trail. We started wandering. He's like, wait a minute. And he went back up the hill and like the side of this is kind of like where,
so you're coming down the mountain.
Instead of the mountain part, it's like the foot of the mountain where all of the like rocks and dirt and like basically the runoff of the mountain, like the eroded part of the mountain is. So it's less of a steep slope. Anyways, he's like, oh, I found the trail again. I said, okay. And he's like, Marco Polo. And we find the trail, and we find a trail marker. And we're like, thank goodness. So apparently there's a part. So like this trail goes downhill, right?
Yeah.
You're going from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain. Well, apparently there's a part where it hugs like one ISO line on the side of the mountain.
Right.
And there's this one little part where it jogs uphill for a short period of time to avoid something. So everybody keeps going straight.
They missed
instead of going uphill. So everybody going straight has worn out like a fake trail.
Area. Yeah, okay.
So even Sonny didn't realize that it wasn't the right trail because it's full of human scent. Like he's pretty good at staying on trail, but he kept on.
Because everyone else has made the mistake.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I kind of wish we'd gone back and piled a bunch of logs there.
Yeah.
And rocks, because you can do that. Like you're supposed to leave no trace, but when it comes to people, everyone we talked to made that same mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For those of you who haven't checked out, Adam's blog, which is sunny46.com. See, got something in for you.
Yeah.
I was looking at your notes day hiking pack list, and you may want to think about putting in like one of those, like a phone battery.
Yeah.
Like rechargeable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I need like a portable, like one of those like extra batteries.
Yeah. Because I have a few of them that I have for hurricane season, And
that's smart.
They're like the size of one of them is about the size of a roll of pencils, not pencils,
right.
A roll of pennies.
Right.
So yeah.
So that's it. That's my. Oh wait, also Strange New Worlds. It's awesome. Go watch it. It's amazing. The new Star Trek. It rolls. What's your Beyond the Fringe?
So I've been doing these walks for a few months, where I walk about anywhere from 4 to accidentally walking 9 miles in one night. Boy, my feet hurt after that. And on one of the walks, I walked on campus. I've got these routes, and I'd been walking. I had done my route once, and I walked by one of our administration buildings, and I heard the loudest whine I've ever heard. And that's how I met Zed, who is he's my Beyond the Fringe. He's a kitten that I picked up in front of the administration building. Someone had dumped him there on their front door, fully expecting someone to come in and get him the next morning. So he's about 9 weeks now, but that was about 2 weeks ago. And I'm fostering him. We'll see if that's successful. Air quotes. Yeah. The nice thing is that, if I do foster him, he's a great little kitten. He'll go to someone really great. If he becomes a foster fail, loud noises don't bother him. And in my household, there's always loud, weird noises going on. So, but yeah, he's a fascinating little guy. It's been a little difficult doing all this moving and having a kitten running around the new place. So, I will say one thing: watching a 1.5 pound kitten chase after a 12-pound cat through the house because they're playing, that's hilarious. That is funny. That is pure comedy gold.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's my Beyond the Fringe. It's a
awesome,
annoying little kitten who's
you love it.
Yeah. So anyway, and yeah, I've continued doing my walks. I'm still doing that. I think I'm doing the what is it?
Collecting kittens.
Well, no, I'm helping do trap, neuter, release also, because people keep dumping cats on our campus because I don't know why, but they do. But hey, I've been doing the Lord of the Rings, one of their official things through the Conqueror challenges, and so I'm almost done with the second of the challenges out of 5. So I've been getting some walks in. Yeah. All right. So
now we're switching up our news segment, the Astropathic Communique. Instead of trying to do find what's interesting and talk about as much. I mean, we've always kept the news to a minimum anyways. Yeah. But we're adding a little structure. We're each just going to pick one thing that was revealed and talk about it. The one thing that interested us the most. So this is a good impetus for each of us to start the show notes list early, so we get to pick the coolest thing, and the other person has to pick something else. So
the nice thing though is we've got such a fire hose of content. Yeah. Yeah.
So this week I picked the Leagues of Voltan ATV. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
This release is going to be a problem, I think.
Yep. I think so.
This is not great.
I'm kind of laughing because it's haha, it's not going to hurt my pocketbook. And they hit me with a whole bunch of Thousand Sun stuff, I'd be in trouble, but
it's going to hurt Quinn's college fund, I'll tell you that much. So this vehicle is really cool. It definitely looks like an exploration vehicle. It reminds me a lot of a moon buggy, It's certainly a prospector's type vehicle. But they're ready to face pretty much any challenge out there on the wastes or whatever harsh environment that they're fighting in. And the pilots, there's like at least three different pilot heads that it comes with.
Ooh, okay.
2 male, 1 female. It's pretty sweet. The detail on the cockpit is unfreaking real, and like the stowage that it comes with, also really cool. Like bed rolls and storage containers and a pick, like a mining pick and rope, and it's just got a really cool suspension, really fun design. I am here for this thing.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, at the very least, I could loot it, but honestly, I kind of just want to build it proper. This is definitely something I need to put. So if I do the Rogue Trader army next year, I'll easily just go ahead and do like an allied detachment of Voltan.
That'd be a good idea.
It's not like my army's getting any kind of army purity bonus anyways. I don't care about that. So like having a unit of guys and this ATV and maybe 1 or 2 of the bikes and
right,
and an HQ of some kind. I think that'll go great with that'll go really, really great with the Rogue Traders.
What you could do is, build one that is legit, that actually does, work for that army. And then grab another kit and then just go crazy with it for your orcs.
Yeah, go nuts with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you one thing that you taught me about building orcs is you build the first model according to directions. and then you don't.
All bets are off after that, right?
Yeah, after that, it's just like, that's a suggestion, kids. It's a suggestion. Don't read too much into it. So yeah, that works.
What did you pick, dude?
I picked. This isn't a new kit, but it's the Plastic Leviathan. Well, first of all, Plastic Leviathan. Yeah. Did I ever think I was going to hear that word? No.
Yeah. No.
When I actually heard them say it, they were doing it. Did I believe it? I think I said whenever it's for sale, I'd believe it. And it looks like it's up for pre-order this weekend or delivery this weekend. I don't know. But yeah, Plastic Leviathan with plastic close combat weapons, which means they're probably, it's an upgrade sprue. So there's probably doing some other things that maybe they're, I guess I really do need to go through and read the armaments for the Leviathan, because that might give me an idea of where it's going. So I'm pretty stoked about that, but I'm so happy about all the plastic 30K stuff that it's just kind of unreal. I mean, they went through and released, what was it? White Scars upgrades, and they announced the White Scar upgrades, which I thought was really, really nice, because that means at some point there'll be 1,000 Sun upgrade kits, and I'll buy those. That's definitely happening. So
you can spread the wealth among all your projects.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yep.
So that's intro done and dusted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about a topic that I think I thought for sure we'd discussed before, but I guess we didn't do an episode on it, but it's certainly something we've discussed before. But we're going to go more in depth. We're going to come back and talk about chaos cults in the lore. Damn, I knew it was around here somewhere. Damn, where is it?
Can I help you?
Ah! Scared me.
What do you seek?
I need the perfect scenario for a narrative game I'm running this week, and I can't find one.
Sir, this is the Black Library. We don't have narrative scenarios.
Well, then where should I go?
Might I recommend the Tabletop Campaign Repo?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo? What's that?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo is an ad-free site for hosting resources related to playing tabletop miniatures wargaming.
Oh, like scenarios?
Absolutely. Also, event packs, custom objectives, tracking sheets, custom terrain rules, maps, icon packs, award templates, and more.
Oh, and this is for Warhammer 40k?
Among other things. There's also Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and others. They're always open for content submissions for any system, even non-Games Workshop materials.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like a great way to save all of this great content the community makes. A lot of that stuff often ends up disappearing into a dead message board or Facebook group.
Exactly. It's a real community effort.
Great. So how do I get there?
Just go to that webway gate marked tcrepo.com.
tcrepo.com. Got it. Can I ask you one more question before I go?
Fire away.
This place is really easy to find. How come Armand can never find it?
Oh, because it's more funny that way.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Once again, the Tabletop Campaign repository can be found at tcrepo.com, and they're always looking for submissions.
Welcome back. Cults. So let's talk about this.
It's interesting.
Cults,
Good.
There's a lot of different, chaos cults represent a huge swath of 40k lore, and I'm sure everybody has an opinion about how they work and what their favorite ones are, and just in general how they feel about chaos cults. And if you've got some information about chaos cults that you want to share with us, feel free to drop it in the Discord or message us on Facebook. You can ask for the Discord through Facebook on the Messenger, or you can email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com. So there. First of all, thanks to the internet mainly, but also what was it called again? The role-playing game.
Role-playing game?
About chaos cults that used to be all over the place.
Not Dark Redicus. Was it Dark Redicus?
Dark Imperium. No, not Dark Imperium. Black Crusade.
Okay, yeah, sorry, there we go. We got it eventually, listeners. We got it eventually.
I mean, these kinds of shows, these lore deep shows, you can thank a lot of that content. You could thank Dark Crusade or any of those role-playing games like Rogue Trader for the vast, in-depth information that we have, because they were written, a lot of it was written by the authors, and a lot of it was written with enough detail that you could put a role-playing campaign in there.
Yeah.
And you need a really rich background for that. So a lot of exposition in those books. So this information that we're going to convey here today is a mixture of information from that book, but also, from a bunch of other sources, but also with information about cults in general. I hope we're not insulting anyone, but we're going to bring real world stuff into this.
Yeah.
So we have some different overlapping features. There's not just like we have a few types here, but there's not just it could be a cult can be two of these things or three of these things. They're just like features that a cult will have. Okay, so a cult is charismatic. A cult needs a strong personality to steer it, and this is true at all levels of cult structure. For some cults, this is enough. There's no need for subterfuge and legerdemain because their leader is so strong and so beloved that they are beyond reproach. In these cases, the cult itself is able to recruit and proselytize in the light of day, while their more clandestine operations go unnoticed in the shadows. For example, a witch cult, or a cult which is formed by a corrupt high-level ecclesiarch.
Mm-hmm.
Like that person can recruit from their flock. Like they can build their flock and then they can recruit from it. and eventually corrupt the entire organization over time.
Right. And the next one we have is cellular. So cults built around a central character, but the successful ones soon snowball into something else more. When this happens, it's often imperative that the cult break out into different cells. Each cell has a number of contacts in other cells, but they do not share location or membership information beyond that. That way, if one cult is sniffed out, the other cults can be protected. Each smaller cell does need a charismatic leader, and often the entire organization will defer to a single person or a council, but the basic structure is cellular in nature. So the example I came up was, welcome to the Alpha Legion. We are Alfarius.
Yeah.
You know, and that's if you've read any of the really almost any of the Alpha Legion books where they have their cults involved, no one knows who anyone is. You know, So yeah.
The Maquis.
Yes.
The Bajoran resistance all operated in cells that can't give up the other cells without a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I remember that.
Cults are also elusive. A cult should be ready to pick up and move at a moment's notice. They should have safe houses and backup data stores throughout their sphere of influence. Some cults even plant mind blocks or even brain bombs in their most devoted and informed members so that even if these people are captured, the information they hold will stay safe. And by safe, I mean not there anymore. Note that not all cults are prescient or self-aware enough to take these kinds of precautions. So a cult, for the first thing we said, a very, very charismatic cult with an unsavvy leader is probably less elusive than a purely cellular cult full of low income individuals who are savvy about protecting what they have.
The next up is chameleonic. Haha, I pronounced it correctly. Cults usually mask their operations in the guise of another, more reputable organization. They are similar to crime syndicates in this instance, and actually a cult which masquerades as a crime syndicate, which in turn masquerades as a legitimate business, is not a terrible idea.
Right.
So some of these examples could be, take the form of churches or schools or businesses or governments, military organizations, scientific research communities, etc. It's basically a way of hiding in plain sight.
Right. Yeah. So like imagine being, okay, so I'm going to have this corporation and I've been dealing in Xenos technology or whatever. So I'm also going to set up this crime organization that is bankrolled by my corporation.
Right.
Which is, I'll get in trouble with the militia, but I'm not going to get in trouble with no Inquisition, right?
Right.
So imagine underneath the crime organization then is the cult itself. Like layers.
I think you see this at least in cartoons, Cobra. Which, I mean, this is weird that we're bringing up that IP, but there was those various layers that showed up as they wrote more, comic books and more television shows and whatnot and movies, that those other layers started showing up. So, yeah.
Well, none of that matters if you have
Weather Dominator?
Yes, that's right.
I need to kit bash like a Weather Dominator.
I was going to say an accelerator suit, right? Like, what does it accelerate? Robot noises. Oh my God. I haven't even seen that movie, the G.I. Joe movie, but I'm pretty sure I would hate it so much.
You haven't seen that movie?
No, I've only seen the trailers, and we are not watching that on Bad Movie Night.
Yep.
I do not want anything to do with this film, and by film I mean dumpster fire.
That's, yeah.
fine. Yeah. So why do people join a chaos cult? So the funny thing is that normal people just going about their day never actually seek to join a cult. People are recruited into a cult. It doesn't mean like they are actively proselytized to, like on a one-on-one basis. It could mean a few different things, like TV or radio or street preacher. So this is a really important distinction because it implies that the cult and the cult leader have viewpoints that are so perverse and so antithetical to human behavior that it requires effort on their part to convert the unwitting. It's not second nature to believe the things that the cult believes. There are many internal and external forces which might make someone susceptible to being indoctrinated into a cult. These are features that are well known to the prospective cult leader. They use each of these features to formulate specific rhetoric in order to indoctrinate you to their cause. So, like, they know people are upset or are nervous or are insecure about each, like, many different specific things, and they will formulate a message that resonates with you on those specific pain points. So you have internal forces like within yourself as a person, such as high hypnotizability, with like you're capable of altered state of consciousness during self-meditation, drug use. Strong ability for concentration and a vivid imagination, learning disorders, ASD, communication disorders, addiction, trauma, unresolved sexual issues, phobias, isolation, and being susceptible to scams. External forces include environmental disaster, severe economic disruption, socio-political polarization, exposure to popularized extreme conspiracy theories, and pandemic. We have seen all of these things happen in Warhammer 40,000 many times. You know, you have, I mean, just the Eisenhorn books alone, I think I can tick off all of those being things that have sparked a cult. So these are things you can use to formulate a better story for your games and for your campaigns, like understanding that these events and trigger cult activity and all of those internal forces are motivations for low level characters to be indoctrinated into a cult, possibly even members of the opposing forces army even.
Okay. Yeah. So how are chaos cults propagated? Oh man, come on, you can speak. I know you're in there. So large cults spread their subversive views through media such as global vox communications and vid feeds. Smaller cults will have to make do with printed media and pulpit speeches for low-income cult leaders, or simple word of mouth for more influential narcissists.
Yeah, like going to parties, spreading the word,
and building slowly from there. Yeah,
right. I forgot also podcasts.
Podcasts?
Do they have podcasts in 40K?
Probably. I mean, wow, this is hitting close to home. There's so much stuff in here that we're, talking about. It's like, is this 40K? Is this the real life?
What? How dare you imply that this episode of Warhammer 40,000 podcast Masters of the Forge is some kind of allegory for real life? How dare you?
How dare I?
No.
I stand corrected.
Just keep reading the script, sir.
As long as I keep sitting down, I'll stand corrected. All right. All right. So no matter what a chaos cult's medium is, Their methods are to use whatever influence they have gained in order to weaponize misdirection, which is hiding information that is counter to their viewpoint, misinformation, which distorts information in a misleading way, disinformation, which is fake information concocted specifically to mislead. The recruitment model means that the fighting smaller cults is nuanced. You shouldn't just walk up to a cult and say you want to join. You have to make yourself seen by the cult in order to add validity to your ruse. Smaller cults might piggyback off of the multimedia campaigns of larger cults, even without the larger cults' foreknowledge. Members are
like if you're really interested in, I can definitely see like low-level narcissists and cult leaders or prospective cult leaders seeing the message of a more influential member, like clandestinely putting out messages and then like piggybacking on those ideas and starting their own cell without even the person knowing that other cells are being created in their name.
Right.
Like, things can really get out of hand pretty quickly if you're too big for your britches.
That's very true. I mean, as we're talking about some of the stuff, I can already see where cellular cults would, occur within a larger organization, which is interesting, which means that you'd have organizations that, cult organizations that are large-ish, but then they have subcults, which, I mean, you see that in other examples of media in within the 40K universe. So.
Yeah, you're not just dealing with like hordes of tainted human infantry fighting in wars. You're talking about like subversive organizations that pull your entire way of life apart from the inside out. And that's the real danger. Not a bunch of ravening lunatics on the battlefield that you have to mow down with your las guns.
All right. So members are maintained through a system of coercive persuasion, thought reform, and exploitation, economic, emotional, blackmail, etc. In time, the minds of cultists have been so deeply reconditioned that their perception of reality has been irrevocably altered. The scary part is that this is all before chaos has anything to do with their indoctrination. To a cult leader, chaos is but one more tool to expand their influence. Little do they know that once they let chaos in the door, they become little more than pawns themselves, because Nurgle, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, and who am I missing? Khorne,
they are selfish gods. They will not have any other god before them. So, like,
I forgot Malal. Sorry.
Everybody did.
Oh.
We don't talk about Malal. We don't talk about Malal. Wow, we can make a song. That works really well.
You got to do that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, so who starts a cult? Cult leaders are typically malignant narcissists, and they want people who will be obedient to them. I'm going to quote here because I have no business paraphrasing science.
Yeah.
In popular conception, malignant narcissism is a form of narcissistic personality disorder that is highly abusive. People with this personality supposedly get a sense of satisfaction from hurting others and may manipulate people or lie to gain money, acclaim, and other things they desire. I mean, this is because they think they are owed it, Malignant narcissism includes traits of narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder, there was a link. It causes a person to seek a constant acclaim and admiration, often by whatever means necessary. It also includes elements of antisocial personality disorder, which causes a person to engage in harmful and sometimes criminal behavior. Again, these people they think that it is part of their brain chemistry to believe that they are owed these things. So that makes them extremely dangerous, because if they believe it, it makes it easier for them to make you believe it too.
Yeah.
Because it comes across as genuine. Because it kind of is genuine. So we have a few types of...
If they believe they should own Twitter, then I mean that's
So there are different types of cult leader. We could enumerate all the types from like a taxonomic perspective, like politician, priest, heretic, Astartes, corrupted Xeno, sorcerer, etc. But instead, whether the cult leader is a human or something more exotic, they fall into these categories. All right, you want to do the first one, Jason?
Yeah, let me grab that first one. So the first one is the delusional martyr. A delusional cult leader might be more dangerous than any other because they actually believe the things they are saying. And they come across as genuine, even to people who might think they are skilled at detecting stuff. Yes, there we go. I don't feel like bleeping that. This makes it very easy to con people into buying into their worldview. Still, due to the unhinged nature of this type of cult leader, their reign is often short-lived. They don't have a great track record of remaining relevant, and oftentimes are leader of subcults under the auspices of a greater threat. An example, a delusional martyr might be a warp-sensitive acolyte who has somehow come across a few scraps of the teachings of Lorgar. They are able to convince dozens of normal people to commit mass suicide in order to summon forth their saviors. A ravening swarm of peak horrors. Oh, that's going to go great. A distinction with other cult leaders, the delusional martyr is quite likely to sacrifice themselves also, because they truly believe in and have bought into the truth.
Yep. That's why they don't last so long. The converted egomaniac. This type of cult leader develops over time. They are often shocked to find that people listen to them at all, let alone adore them. This type of person might have spent much of their life steeped in self-doubt or self-loathing, but when people start listening to them and supporting them, their ego swells beyond that of someone else who might have led a more normal life previously. Like, yes, some people do like me, it's fine. Where this person's like, oh my God, people like me, and then eventually turns into, of course people like me. I am wonderful.
Of course they do. Everyone loves me.
Everyone loves me.
Yeah.
Although lots of people live with self-doubt and self-loathing, it's unlikely they started a cult by sitting alone in their basement hab block. It's more likely that they started out as a preacher or a teacher beforehand, so their situation forced them into a position where they had to speak to groups of people about their beliefs. Once they realize they have the rapt attention of their flock or students, they start to crank the crazy knob to 11. These individuals will eventually start believing they are owed adoration and worship. They will use coercion and abuse to keep their acolytes in line, but veil this maltreatment as some kind of therapy or crucible that will mold them into a more perfect self.
Oof.
That's freaking scary, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know this hurts, but it's going to make you stronger.
Yeah.
It's going to make you worthy of the cult.
I don't know. It's starting to...
It's freaking messed up, right? So,
yeah.
But that's how they get you. So here's an example. Consider a low-level ecclesiarchy priest who spends his days preaching benedictions and admonishments and choking hot manufactorums. They are barely noticed by anyone else in the cloth. They just fulfill the role they've been handed and carry on day by day. For the sake of this story, let's say that the priest is tempted by a forbidden knowledge supplied by a visiting mentor. Later, they start to weave these tainted opinions into their sermons, and the toiling masses start to take notice. Before long, production is up in the plant because the workers are energized by the leader's rhetoric. The preacher starts building a power base, starting in this dingy manufactorum and spreads throughout the hive. The other clergy in the area don't notice his growing power base until it's far too late for them.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Here's the big one.
Yeah. All right. So the narcissist. This one's meaty. The narcissist doesn't have to be created by society. They have been this monster their entire lives. They feel entitled to get whatever they want, whenever they want, and it is the world's duty and the destiny of each and every individual to provide them with their heart's desire. Any method to achieving this goal is justified. Lying, killing, cheating, stealing, anything. The only thing that limits their behavior is their own self-worth and the fear that someone might force them to limit their freedom or kill them. These cult leaders actually may not believe that chaos is real. Or they may. It doesn't matter. Either way, chaos is a tool they can use to get what they want and maintain power over those less important to them. Literally everyone else in the universe. The narcissist is often intelligent but paranoid. They keep meticulous records and demand an endless string of assurances by their associates. As their cult grows, they handpick elite members who they can almost trust implicitly to delegate some of this work to. But they will still personally check up on things regularly to ensure that they can continue to trust these individuals. The narcissist might frame this kind of interrogation as confession or cleansing in order for their acolyte to achieve a more pure or true state. The narcissist will likely offer their own confessions to the acolyte in order to build trust, though they are just as likely to be lies as truth. So, for example, imagine that a high-ranking noble has been jockeying for the position of planetary governor. While the rest of his rivals have been throwing their muscle around among the world's elite, this noble has instead been focusing their efforts on the lower classes. They use vid feeds and vox feeds to spread misinformation and disinformation about the other noble families. The narcissist speaks in the voice of the people while blustering about their own exemplary qualities compared to the fools who have been in charge thus far. They pit the people against the narcissist's rivals. Massive rallies break out across the hives, thronging with people praising the narcissist and their policies. These political rallies gradually morph into something more resembling tent revivals. Pretty soon, it doesn't matter which noble is the most qualified to become the planetary governor. If the narcissist isn't named as such, they realize the people will riot and society will collapse. When the planetary government eventually realizes the cult leader's actions have been clandestinely influenced by Slaanesh, it's far too late. Once the narcissist is in power, they fully embrace their relationship with the ruinous powers, and they reflect this in their both policy and action. I don't know, man. This feels real. Real.
What? Are you telling me that my satire is on the nose? How dare you? Yeah. Anyways, there's a bunch of there's political, there's families, there's the church, there's political individuals. There's lots of different types of people who are in positions to have a lot of power over others. And the ruinous powers will try to use these individuals, their corruption and their desire for more power against them, and use it for their own benefit. So there are a few different cult types. Mm-hmm. Again, thanks to the Black Crusade RPG for helping us out with these, both the cults themselves and some of the examples we've given. So let's start with apocalypse cults. There's a lot of these in the real world. So the quote, the end is nigh, and the great master from beyond the stars is coming for you. Your lot in life is a dead end. These types of cults use nihilism as a tool to recruit their members. If literally nothing matters, then the cultists are morally free to behave in whatever way the cult leader demands. One example is the Pilgrims of Hate, Hayte. Mm-hmm. You know what? That would almost be a good name. Hately, Hayteleigh. I hope that's a real name. That's probably a real name. Someone probably named their kid that. This cult is defined as a cancer cult by the Inquisition. So what the Pilgrims of Hate do is they seek out the least of those in Imperial society, people with nothing to lose and little to gain, and then they promise vengeance upon those in the Imperium who would spread the lies of love, hope, and civilization. Their chief goal is to tear down the Imperial facade and expose the rot at its core. The Pilgrims of Hate operate very much like a traditional cult, with a charismatic leader at the core of every cell, and recruitment based on misinformation and coercion of the most susceptible in Imperial society. Despite the extensive work of the Holy Ordos to eliminate the cult, it has persisted in a widespread manner. One might argue that it's probably because they have a good point about the Imperium being rotten from the inside, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if their methodology works too well, maybe they have a good point.
Next up, we have the blood cults. I wonder who this could be dedicated to. So, cults devoted to Khorne may not be quite as subtle as other cults. Wow, if that wasn't a sentence that makes me laugh. All right. But they will still maintain a level of subterfuge in populated regions, owing simply to the fact that violence and crime is often rampant in these locations anyway.
Right. Like they're just like they just do what they're gonna do.
Right.
And it doesn't look any different than any other place.
And this, they could be in like an organized. They could be hiding as an organized crime cult, but they're really. Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's actually a little too close to.
I mean, it's just gonna keep happening, dude.
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening.
It doesn't take as much on many hive worlds to mask the operations of a blood cult as simple crimes until it's too late. Blood cults in other locales, such as a starship or military barracks, will be more difficult to hide. But in many cases, if the cult is led by a military leader of some kind, then their underlings may not be able to stop the cult's momentum. Example,
like they have a chain of command.
Right.
They have to follow that chain of command. So if the commander is corrupted and they are corrupting their underlings in little pockets at a time, by the time enough people notice, the chain of command will be totally corrupted, and there's no way you're going to stop it from snowballing into something more dangerous.
So, for example, we have the cults of the Sons of Slaughter. At first glance, I saw Sons of Sergeant Slaughter, which put me completely somewhere else for a split second. This cult was tied directly to the heretic Astartes warband of the same name, not to be confused with the Crimson Slaughter. One might imagine that being exposed to the wanton bloodshed of a Khorne-based Chaos Space Marine warband could be like basking in the desert sun. You might survive it, but you won't escape unscathed. These cultists have devolved into a ravening horde. When their Astartes masters unleashed them against the Death Guard, they fell to a man, but that's all well and good for Khorne. Yeah, because Khorne does not care where the blood flows.
No.
Yeah. Each dead soldier in a blood cult is grist for the mill. Enough blood has been shed that a force of Khorne demons materialized from beyond the veil and slaughtered the remaining Death Guard. Oh, wow. Okay, that's out of the Khorne Demonkin Codex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
That is
Love
pretty
that.
great.
Take that, you nerdly, gross nurgle dudes.
Yeah.
Speaking of gross nurgle dudes, plague cults. So the plague cults are not just simple spreaders of disease going from port to port, coughing on people. That's part of it. That is part of it, right?
Yeah.
But that's not everything. Like you can imagine. You ever see that movie? There's a few of them. There's a Stephen King book about this where it's like an alien comes to Earth and infects one person and incubates in that person, and the person their overriding like thought is to get to a body of water so they can like slither into it and die and release the disease or the parasites.
I read that. What book was that?
And nobody knows which book that was. Halfway through the book, the dude poops like a slug, and it's gross. What was I going to say? There's also Prometheus, I think, where they seed Earth by sending a person down to our planet, and they break down to their like constituent parts next to a stream, and it like spreads out. Anyways,
yeah,
chaos cults. or plague cults, you do have to do the legwork of going from planet to planet spreading disease.
Yeah.
That's not everything. A plague cult can have members at all levels of society making moves that would actually make the changer of ways proud. For example, imagine a simple administratum scribe who longs for a cure to the cancer that's riddling their body. This individual is approached by a cult and indoctrinated, promised eternal life. All they have to do is misplace one shipment of insect repellent. Weeks later, the scribe is still alive, though feeling very odd, and the Astra Militarum regiment, light years away, suffers from a virulent form of malaria, all due to the fact that they missed that one shipment.
Ooh.
Yeah. Tzeentch isn't the only one who can possibly have, plans within plans.
Yeah.
Note that plague cults are not affiliated with death cults and are in fact aggressive towards death cults.
Yeah, because they kill off things too quickly.
Yeah. Example, the Unbound are a cult who were once the 969th Cadian shock troopers deployed to Cetus Tertitia during the Gothic War. On deployment, they were stricken by a terrible plague and subsequently refused transport from the war zone. The surviving warriors and their commander, in their disillusionment, turned to the warm embrace of the grandfather, Nurgle. I mean, Nurgle to the rescue, right? Their Colonel Abner Varicius, the false Castellan, because apparently he was jockeying for the Castellan position after the Crow? No, not Crow. I'm thinking of the other Castellan. Creed.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, they persist to this day, probably form part of the final assault on Cadia. And this example is from Atlas Infernal by Rob Sanders.
And I've read that. Man, it's been a while since I read that. I vaguely remember this. Okay. So now to change over to another cult. That was a bad one.
Good segue. By good segue, I mean dying of fire. Next.
Yeah, pretty much. Change cults. So many cults operate the twitching of the strings held by the changer of ways. This is true even if the cult's direct patron is a totally different powerful being, even another one of the chaos gods. Yeah, that actually does happen.
Yeah,
I remember reading some stuff there where it's like it was Tzeentch all along. Tzeentchian cults operate most effectively at levels of the administratum where information is the chief business and where one seemingly small yet incorrect dissemination of information or material can impact the skeins of fate.
Sorry, I spelled it wrong.
I don't know how to say it anyway. A fate on a huge level.
Sequence of fate.
I should have said sequence. That would have been amazing. It's just all sparkly. Your fate is sparkles. The changer of ways influence can also be found throughout the Imperium
Oh my God,
structure.
we figured it out. Sorry, I'm interrupting you again. We've figured it out. That's why Liberace was so popular. He was a cult leader of a change cult.
You're not
all the sequins. Yeah. Anyways, yes.
You may not be wrong. I mean, we'll talk off of episode about that.
Yeah,
a friend of mine wrote I think he wrote his dissertation on Liberace.
Really?
Yeah. Terrifying. Next. All right. So let's see. The changer of ways influence can also be found throughout the Imperium structure and at all levels of society. One would go mad if they witnessed all the strands of fate that Tzeentch has over the souls who inhabit the galaxy. He's everywhere. So example, the Cyclopeans. This cult puts out one of their eyes in reverence to Magnus. They aren't the only cult to blind themselves in one or both eyes in order to attain some kind of enlightenment. This is from Psychic Awakening, The Greater Good. I remember these guys.
Yeah, I remember those guys. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's also, I read one, I think it was the Magos, when Eisenhorn and Ravener have dealings with a cult that they'll blind themselves in one eye.
Yeah.
And then put an eye patch over the other eye or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Anyways, It's all about heightening your senses and seeing, in different ways and attaining another level of consciousness. Speaking of,
real quick, I think G.I. Joe's on Amazon Prime. Anyways, continue. Yeah.
Great. I'm not paying for it. Pleasure cults. The appeal of cults devoted to Slaanesh are obvious. It might seem somewhat difficult to believe that the members of a pleasure cult would have the initiative or the drive to recruit more members, get any work done, really. But it's important to remember that how cult leaders work. So in a pleasure cult, the cult leader could withhold the desires of the cultists who do not perform their allotted tasks in a satisfactory manner. They could also use not bribery, blackmail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll tell your boss that you do these drugs, or I'll tell your significant other that you're canoodling with 2d6 people every night or whatever.
2d6.
Yeah, 2d6. Also, it's often human nature to simply want others to also have the same amazing experiences and want to be part of someone else having those experiences. Anybody out there been to college and have that one guy who's like, dude, have you seen the old Lord of the Rings movie on weed? Because it's so good. You need to do this.
Have you watched The Wizard of Oz while listening to Dark Side of the Moon?
The Dark Side of the Moon, it'll blow your mind, man. Have you seen the movie Koyaanisqatsi while on mushrooms? That's one that my cousin did. It was actually really good on mushrooms. I'm not gonna lie.
It's actually good without it. It's good when you're not on mushrooms either.
Koyaanisqatsi.
I'm not going to go through and move your voice down an octave more for that.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Okay, where was I? Okay, a pleasure cult is an exercise in escalation. Each experience, each high, each delicious crescendo is a second only to the next one. The only question is how much influence the cult can acquire before someone who can do something about it notices one of the cult's more over-the-top displays of indulgence. We've seen, eventually it just goes too far and involves too many people. And once you get to that point, have you become powerful enough to scoff at anyone who tries to stop you?
Right.
The example I picked is just a mention in one of the wikis.
Okay.
And I don't care. I'm just gonna create some headcanon here. The Gentleman of Pain.
Okay.
Okay, so I like to imagine that they're always like this they're immaculately dressed in pinstripe suits and ties, regardless of gender.
Okay.
I assume screaming is considered a break in decorum. So they remove the vocal cords of their victims before they're going to work on them.
Oh wow.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's my headcanon on the Gentleman of Pain. Source Necromunda.
When you said Gentleman of Pain, all I could think is the Police's King of Pain for whatever reason.
Oh, maybe that's their cult leader. Their cult leader is the King of Pain.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. So next up are death cults, which we hear about a lot in 40K, to be honest. Every time I remember seeing death cults as a, something that is brought up quite often. So these kind of cults focus mainly on self-sacrifice on all levels of the spectrum, from simple bloodletting to the final death in the name of the cause. People who join death cults have nothing left to lose and seek out some kind of meaning to punctuate their existence. Some revivicator cults actually practice ritual death and revivication. Man, that's rough. Revivification, so their members can experience death themselves.
Yeah, they kill themselves with some kind of poison or whatever. They like shut their hearts down, and they experience death for as long as they dare, and then they're brought back to life.
Oof. All right. So death cults are not in and of themselves abhorrent to the Imperium. Indeed, actually, as I was thinking about that, there's one Space Marine chapter that does that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which one was it? It's one that's in the Ghoul Stars. I'm sure someone's screaming it now.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a psychic friendly or psyker, very heavily psyker based Space Marine chapter, which I cannot remember the name now. Bummer. All right. So death cults are not in and of themselves abhorrent to the Imperium. Indeed, the imperial faith is itself a death cult and has sects of individuals. Some of them psychotic holy warriors. Oh, hey, Space Marines. Who form loyalist death cults and fight in the Emperor's name. Sometimes these cults are perverted by the ruinous powers, and sometimes a heretical death cult springs up on its own. Necrophagic cults, for example, go so far as to devour human remains and drink human blood. And they most definitely do not belong to the Blood Angels, or a Blood Angels successor chapter. Other times, the death cult is actually steadfast in their devotion to the Emperor and the Imperium, but their actions themselves are heretical from the point of view of other sects of Imperial society. Some resurrectionist cults, for example, believe the Emperor must finally die in order to live again.
Yeah. And there's a whole thing about that, I think.
That is interesting.
In certain novels, we've talked about it in the past.
Yeah.
I haven't read the novels, so I can't speak to it.
Yeah.
But I know it's a big, like, it's kind of old novels, and a lot of the, let's say, seasoned Warhammer 40K hobbyists are really, really interested in the resurrectionists.
Yeah, that's
the example for the death cults is a bad one, because I think it's actually a Nurgle cult that has taken over a death cult.
Got it. Okay. I was thinking about this because that all that early lore with the what's it called? The something child.
Star Child.
Yeah, the Star Child
thing.
and there's a whole bunch of stuff from that old lore where the Emperor has to die to be born again. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's that whole thing.
Yep. All right, you want to take intellectual cults?
Yes. So this type of cult begins with the noble ambition of uncovering and proliferating truth. The cult leader is often obsessive in their pursuit of truth. In time, however, the truth itself can be perverted by the beliefs of the leader and the influence of chaos. Once corruption is rampant in an intellectual cult, dissemination becomes its key function. This allows the heretical data to permeate imperial society and further expand the cult or spawn new ones. And I think, some of these cult leaders probably, like, unto their death, believe their cause is righteous. And I think a lot of these intellectual cults, like the leaders, fall under the delusional martyr, where they're like teachers or priests or people who just want the information to be free and get out there. But even if whether it's true or false information, it's still dangerous to the Imperium, so it has to be squashed, or at least in the eyes of the Inquisition, it has to be squashed. One example of this is the Cognitae. I don't want to get too much into the Cognitae. It started as a school, and the teachers of that school had inappropriate relationships and inappropriate heretical teachings with their students. And this is like the main bad guy, or like the main antagonist faction in a lot of the Eisenhorn books. So I don't want to get too much into it. But yeah, they started a school that became a corrupt kind of organization, and it spread to the point where they didn't really need the school anymore. but it kind of continued in cells throughout the sector and the subsector.
That's where I know them from. Because sometimes we talk about stuff. I'm like, I remember reading that. What book was that? So it's been a long time since I read Eisenhorn. Okay, so familial cults. It is impossible for a large and politically influential family in the Imperium to completely escape the temptation of corruption. The line that separates simple corruption from heresy is one that moves one way or another, depending on your point of view, or at least the point of view of the Inquisitor who's investigating you. Very old families are rooted in their homelands, and these lands can harbor very old and very dangerous secrets, which might rot the family down right to its core. So, for example, I was thinking about this. There was a book that I read. It's from the Warhammer Crime series, and it takes place. I can't remember the name of it now, and I'm sure Mark is, if he's listening, is probably jumping up and down because he was the one who recommended it. But they talk about these very old families in this one hive, and some of the criminal things that are just like going on. And one of the members of the family then decides to defect and become a detective type. So anyway,
I think the novel, one of the novels I read, the David Annandale horror novel about the corrupted family. Remember that one? Where it was a military commander who came home from war, and he had to be the planetary governor for like.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that one.
A similar thing, and the best part is all of his investigations reveal a bunch of chaos cults on the planet. But they aren't the ones anybody has to worry about. It was him. He's the one that really is in charge of it all, and he doesn't even realize it yet.
So let me give the example real quick. The Gloff family was also a Slaanesh cult, but it had deep roots on Gundrum, and their patron was an ancient presence trapped within a tiny reliquary. They had dealings throughout the subsector, and their influence made it difficult to root them out, root and branch. Yeah, so...
Yeah, and they even they kind of ratted on their own family members. Like, these people will throw parts of their cult to the dogs so that they protect themselves and maintain the cult. And some of these people are so devoted that they'll allow themselves to become the scapegoat for their family. Political cults are cults of personality. They stem from a desire for their members for a better and easier life. We had a big description of one of these earlier. It's not surprising that there are a great many cults like this in the Imperium, which are in itself is a despotic and totalitarian regime. Unfortunately, the desire for freedom might be so strong that the cult is willing to do anything to achieve it, even elicit the help of the ruinous powers. Cult leaders of political cults might parrot their acolytes' desires, but in reality, many of them want more than just freedom, but total control and absolute power. So they work on the desires and the pain that the people that they're supposed to be governing have, and they use that against them and against their opponents in order to gain more power for themselves. There are so many examples of social and political cults that there's no reason to.
I think that would take up another 2 hours without even scratching the surface. Next up, military cults. The strict ideologies of military organizations can make it difficult for cults to start within their midst. However, they can also be difficult to get rid of if they do manage to take hold because of the respect for the chain of command. Military cults can also be simultaneously blood cults or political cults depending on the situation and the military body. So, for example, we have, Latora Sarin and the crew loyal to the World Eaters could be seen as a military-style cult. They're also interesting as they are examples of a different side to the Blood God, as peerlessly skilled in military maneuvers, remaining cool-headed in their slaughter. Yep.
At least for the time being.
Yeah, one of the last short stories I did for her was really, really a good one.
I just recently read like kind of the results of that story, and I think it's amusing. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Oh, I haven't read that. Okay,
it's funny.
Yeah,
it's some funny stuff in there. How she maintains control over the situation that she's in.
I will say that all the memes of her are hilarious.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They're just so funny. It's amazing we're laughing about, military cult leader, but the memes are pretty funny.
We may have to put a content warning at the start of this episode.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
The first section was a little rough. The last one I broke out here was the tainted Xenos cults. Many Xenos species are susceptible to the corruption of chaos. These cults usually share a type of distinction to one of the other cults above. So it might be a political Xenos cult or whatever. But in some of these cases, though, the cult has been so successful that the entire species has been completely subverted, and it has simply become their default nature. So it makes sense because the Imperium has been, and the Eldar have like dominated so much of the galaxy. Well, okay, first the Eldar, then the Imperium, that any remaining Xenos species that's been around for a long time is basically just going to be a body of chaos.
Yeah.
One example of this is the Saruthi, like another throwback to Eisenhorn. These were weird asymmetrical beings who could traverse the galaxy through interdimensional space. Their physical form and state of mind were such that it was impossible to tell what of their being was natural to their species and what was tainted by the warp. They had keen senses of smell and taste, and they had a very unique way of transcribing heretical texts. Like you could literally smell the heresy. Smell the heresy. It smells like heresy in here. Must be a Saruthi.
Wow.
Yeah,
taste cool. The heresy.
Taste the heresy. Yeah. So that was pretty heavy. Like I was saying, there's a lot of heavy stuff in here, but it's good for coming up with a backstory for your chaos cult. If you're going to be running one, or like the opposing forces of a very narrative GM'd campaign, or if you're doing a small campaign with your friends, having motivations and an understanding of how these things work, I think is important. It's also, sometimes I wonder how believable it is that literally millions of people on a planet could fall to a chaos god or follow a cult leader without someone doing something about it. And for some reason, my ability to understand how that could happen has tempered somewhat.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick break and come back and talk about chaos cults on your tabletop.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke en bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer en bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said.
Welcome back. Chaos Cults on the tabletop. We have a new Chaos Space Marines Codex. I forgot to mention that's another reason to do this now, because we have the new Chaos Space Marines Codex.
Yeah. That's a good idea. We have good ideas sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, we do. We always have good ideas. That's by always, I mean rarely.
Yeah. On Days In with the Y.
So let me go through like these garbage rules here. So all of the units
are they garbage?
They're kind of garbage. So all units have to create a narrative cultist army.
Yeah.
The rules don't let you do. You just can't do it. It's just not possible. Yeah, I'm gonna. Let me lay it down for you. Okay. Every unit has the Traitorous Astartes keyword, but only Space Marines have Heretic Astartes. Cultists are not core.
What?
Cultist troops do get objective secured, fortunately. They do not get Legion traits. Well, they have the Legion rule, but then when it goes down to describing the benefits, cultists don't get the benefits. So they count as being like Legion, Traitorous Astartes unit, but for the purposes of certain rules, like stratagems, if you have like Legion, whatever, at least they are the Legion, but they don't get the Legion traits, like the special abilities and stuff that a Space Marine would get for being in a Legion. You can't give a cultist a mark, like a mark of chaos, so you can't have a Nurgle cultist anymore.
Okay.
Which you couldn't anyways, because they're not core, and the only way you can give them a mark, marks can only be given to characters and core.
So are they a troops choice?
They're a troops choice, but they're not core. Which core, there's just like a bunch of like rules and stuff that affect core.
Yeah.
Like a lot of auras will only affect core units. And so forth. Let me get let me give you an example.
Like chaff. They're basically treating them like, born to die.
Yeah, which they are, but it does. They do lose some flavor by not being able to.
Yeah.
So, for example, how can I? Okay, so like for example, Iron Warriors cultists. They wouldn't get the Legion trait Iron Within, Iron Without. So they wouldn't be able to ignore cover when they attack something. And when someone attacks them, the armor penetration isn't worsened by 1.
Okay.
Which that's what Iron Warriors get. The AP is reduced by 1 and they ignore cover. And Iron Warriors cultists would not get those things. Wait a minute. Okay. Wow. Does that mean Iron Warriors ignore modifiers of 2 with Armor of Contempt?
Oh, wait, is that stackable?
I guess, I don't know. Okay. Well, that's not this conversation. We're not.
No.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, cultists don't get that and they can't give them a mark. Which also limits how many stratagems you can use on them. You can only include 1 dark commune in each detachment, which is the cultist HQ.
Okay.
So that means you're not going to use a battalion or brigade if you're going to go maximum cultists.
Oh.
You're also not allowed to take more cultists than core troops in your army.
Okay.
So you can't just take like 3 units of cultists. You have to take 1 unit of cultists and 2 units of Chaos Space Marines.
That's okay. So I'm guessing. I mean, you're thinking Iron Warriors. I'm coming across thinking, Alpha Legion more than anybody else.
Right. Well, Alpha Legion. Yeah, I just picked one. I think you're right. Alpha Legion is the cult more. I would say Alpha Legion and Word Bearers.
Yeah,
would be the most chaos cultist heavy armies. Yeah. So I get it in matched play. In matched play, I get it. They don't want people just taking 3 units of cultists and then loading up with specialist units. But I am very disappointed that this codex doesn't just like that this codex doesn't specify this is for matched play only.
Right.
Because it's really restrictive. I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak with too much negativity, but this is just ridiculous.
I
you
see
get
you
nothing.
You have a sentence that says, "We have an army of renown later," or
I'm workshopping it. I'm hoping you can help me workshop it a little bit, and maybe the listeners can help me workshop it, because we got to do something, because this is the worst. So anyways.
This doesn't... when I think of a Space Marine army that has a bunch of cultists, I always think Alpha Legion. I probably should think Ward Bearers also, or even Emperor's Children. But
and again, I get it for match play. Like, you don't want people just min-maxing cultists and then specialist troops. But come on, guys, give us a break. There's got to be a better way. Maybe just make your Chaos Space Marines not as garbage. Anyways. The only relic a cultist HQ can take is the Inferno Tome. Mm-hmm. Jason, would you like to tell us what the Inferno Tome does?
All right, so I'll read the flavor text too.
Yeah, read the flavor text.
Flames lick at the pages of this ancient book, but the parchment never burns. The most damning truths are said to be inscribed within. Revelations from insane prophets and visions of oracles whose eyes burned out while trying to pin what they saw. Damn, I love that. Only those whose zeal outweighs their caution can attempt to read from the flaming pages. With the correctly spoken words, these flames blast forth, incinerating the foe. That is cool. Okay, so that's an Inferno tome.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
I'm not editing
what?
that. Okay. Oh wait,
why would you edit that?
It's a medical term.
Would you? What pen?
Well, it is pronounced in a way. Anyway, priest model only. Okay. This relic can be given to a cultist model.
Good for you guys.
Oh, it's so nice to have a priest model in your codex, said the Thousand Suns player. Oh,
that's brutal.
Yep. The bearer knows one additional prayer from the prayers to the dark gods, and each time the bearer chants a prayer, if it is heard, the closest enemy unit within 8 inches of and visible to the bearer suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's not too bad.
That's pretty neat. I like that. Yeah. And also, I think there's a stratagem that lets you chant an additional one on your turn as well.
Oh, okay. So you could knock out quite a few.
Yeah, I think you're going to want, if you're running lots of cultists, I think you're going to want to use these priests a lot to help boost them up and so they actually do something.
Yeah.
So the only warlord trait a cultist HQ can take is Flames of Spite.
Yeah.
So each time this warlord makes a melee attack, you can reroll that attack's wound roll. Each time this warlord makes an attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any... I didn't, read the flavor text.
Yeah.
The warlord's bitterness burns so fiercely that his weapons flicker with the fires of chaos.
If your weapon burns for more than 4 hours, please go seek medical help.
Seek the apothecary.
Seek the apothecary.
All right, so let's move on to cultist units. So we've got the Dark Commune. It's a 5 model HQ unit, which has the Cult Demagogue, who has 3 wounds, the Mind Witch, who has 3 wounds, the Icon Arc with 1 wound, and 2 Blessed Blades. They have 2 wounds each.
Okay.
Yeah, the unit is fearless while the Demagogue is alive, so it kind of acts like an independent character in that way.
Right.
The Icon Arc provides an aura of +2 morale for cultists, and rerolls to hit.
I'm assuming that
1s to hit. Sorry.
I'm assuming that the cultists have garbage morale.
6 morale, yeah. So 6. So
yeah.
Well, it's 5, and then the sergeant makes it 6, so that this boosts it up to 8 if you're nearby.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the reroll 1s to hit is good because I assume that the other, the Chaos Lord, is core only for the rerolls or whatever.
Yeah.
So
more than likely.
the demagogue is a priest and knows Dark Zealotry and one other prayer. Dark Zealotry provides full rerolls to hit in combat, which is pretty cool. Then the Mind Witch is a psyker that can cast and deny 1 power. The Blessed Blades are armed with power sword equivalents, and only the demagogue is a character. So I guess you can target the unit in shooting until everybody but the demagogue is dead.
That sounds...
They have a 6+ save.
Yeah.
I guess that's how that works.
Do they have an invul?
That's
probably a no. I don't see one on the page.
No, okay. I looked for it. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. I think there's a stratagem for get behind the cultists as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like Iron Warriors or something where they get to hide behind a cultist and then kill them instead.
Yeah.
Kind of like Grot shields.
Yeah. So we need to shield these guys. Okay.
I'm sure there's a YouTube video out there somewhere explaining why you can hide this unit behind another unit by using weird interpretations of the rules. But as far as I can tell, the only character is the cult demagogue. So
yeah.
I think you can just shoot these guys whenever you feel like it.
Okay. All right. I did see that you mentioned that while these aren't cultists, a Dark Apostle or a Sorcerer would be appropriate for...
I think so.
Yeah.
I think just taking like a Dark Apostle or a Sorcerer, having like 1 Chaos Space Marine unit in here wouldn't be bad, or just doing them as counts as.
I think the Dark Apostle is a good idea. I think that's,
especially for word bearers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want it for like Alpha Legion, but word bearers, you should have a Dark Apostle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Troops. So the cultist mob is the new cultist unit because they want to make sure they specify like cultists is all of these human cultist units. The cultist mob is the unit, the basic unit of cultists. And the maximum is 20 models now.
What did it used to be?
Used to be 30, I think, or even 40. And they can actually take all 3 of their weapons. They added a grenade launcher.
Oh,
you can mix up. You can mix up the rifles and the pistol close combat weapon, which is nice. Mm-hmm. Not everybody needs to be equipped the same, and then you can duplicate special weapons at bigger unit size.
Okay.
Like I said, leadership 6. I mean, they're cultists, right? They're only 2 power level, so
they're road bumps.
Yeah, they're basically like Grots.
Yeah.
They're better than Grots, the same power level. It's fine. I'm not bitter.
But do they have 1 mono pose? Can you create entire mobs using just 1 pose?
Yeah, can you scatter them on the ground to thwart enemies? I don't think so. Like if a bear's, when I go hiking, I have a pouch full of 2nd edition Grots. If a bear approaches me, I'll scatter the 2nd edition Grots behind me on the path, and the bear will stop. They will fall over and whine in pain.
More effective than Legos.
Like the bear from The Great Outdoors that got shot in the butt.
I did not see that movie. Okay.
That movie is amazing. We need to watch it one night on Good Movie Night.
Okay, well.
Even though I just gave away the end. Okay, so I think the big thing here, the big one is the Accursed Cultists.
Mm-hmm. This is the new kit, right?
This is a new kit. Yeah, just like we can talk about that now.
Okay.
The Dark Commune is a new kit. The Chaos Cultists the Accursed Cultists are a new kit. And they come in a weird unit. I think it's 8. Mm-hmm. They come in model, like the kit has 8 in it because it's 5 to 10 mutants and 3 to 6 torments. So the kit, I think, comes with 5 mutants and 3 torments.
Okay.
And there's a weird limitation on number of big guys you can take for having a certain number of little guys. The Accursed Cultists can't perform actions. They can't embark on transports. But at the end of your command phase, you get to return either 3 mutants or 1 torment.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They have an aura of -1 leadership to enemies. Why Dave really likes that in Night Lords because it starts stacking up leadership penalties.
Yeah.
They also have a D6 feel no pain.
Ooh.
And then the little guys, the mutants, don't count for morale tests because nobody cares about their lives. So if you look at the stat line, the torments have 2d3 attacks each.
Yeah.
And they're strength 5. And the mutants, they're strength 4. Like, this is kind of a meaty unit.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And it's only power level 3 for
That's
5 for 8 models. Yeah, it's,
and their save's not that great, but I mean, if you're just looking for bodies to drop a lot of hits, this isn't bad.
Yeah, no, they're pretty. I really like these. Movement 6, which isn't great.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's, you get 3 units of these on here. If you're going for full, cult army, you get 3 units of these guys in here. 15 models. Or sorry, 16 models each. Just like, running forward, attacking you. Like they can actually bring back models if they're in combat, that kind of thing. You can't do super secret bring back a model in close combat range to avoid charging. You can't do that, but it's pretty cool. They have hideous mutations. I want a weapon called hideous mutations, but you know what's better than a hideous mutation? A blasphemous appendage. I don't want to know what a blasphemous appendage is.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to put the explicit rating then.
If we were to describe a blasphemous appendage, we would have to put on the explicit rating. So
I'll be honest, this reminds me a lot of the Chaos Spawn stat line. Mm-hmm. It really does.
Yeah, the random attacks.
Yeah.
The crappy save.
Yeah. Yeah, that. Yeah.
It's a mutant, not a demon.
Yeah,
it's a changed being, not a demon. Yeah, I like it a lot. So also, I would say counting on a list that would include cultists. You need as far as I can tell, you can still put chaos cultists in a rhino.
Yeah,
players or listeners out there can correct me if I'm wrong. So that's a good thing. You can actually do something interesting with the rhino, moving it around and getting the guys in position, shooting. Also, Chaos Spawn, I think, would be good to add to this list.
Yeah.
You have some failed cult leaders in there who just became Chaos Spawn.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm. We also have got Servants of the Abyss, which is a group of models which do still have rules that came from Blackstone Fortress. That includes the Traitor Commissar, the Chaos Beastmen, the Cultists of the Abyss, Traitor Guardsmen, Chaos Ogren, Cultist Firebrand, Negavolt Cultists, and Rogue Psyker.
I literally just packed this last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I was I found the Negavolt Cultists and went, oh, this needs to be back in that box. Yep. So, yeah.
A lot of these are elite choices.
Oh, they are?
Which is good because this army doesn't have any elites in it.
Oh,
so this stacks out your elites choices.
Yeah.
Like the Chaos Ogren and the Rogue Psyker. Those would be really cool to add to this army. The Chaos Beastmen especially. They might be a troop. I'm not sure. I had them split out earlier and I switched it. But having some Chaos Beastmen in there would be really cool. Just to add a little bit of flavor. And I don't, if you're playing narrative play, nobody cares.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
So let's talk about some of the rules that you can use on cultists. Let's start it out. Jason, do you want to start it off with the one primary prayer to the dark gods that you can use with cultists?
Yeah, I'm not going to read all the flavor text.
No,
man, that's a lot.
No. That's that just tells you how to use the prayers.
Yeah,
really, it's this dark zealotry aura down here.
All right, so Dark Zealotry aura. The Dark Apostles' prayers fill his flock's heart. Oh, man, hold on. Someone's got to get their glasses to read that.
Yeah.
There we go. That doesn't help. Okay.
Oh, you look sexy.
Yeah. The Dark Apostles' prayers fill his flock's hearts with hatred, and they lash out with fanatical strength to tear down their foes to the Dark God's names. So, if this prayer is heard, then while a friendly Legion Corps cultist or Legion character unit is within 6 inches of the priest, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. So, yeah, that's not too bad.
Re-roll to hit in combat. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's not too bad. That's a good one.
Now we have some stratagems. You want to do the first stratagem?
Yeah, let me do that one. Fanatic Zealotry, Word Bearers, Battle Tactic Stratagem. Fervent mortal followers flock to the... Really? Are we really going to do that?
Alliteration is fun for you and for me.
Ugh.
Mostly for me.
Ugh. All right. Fervent mortal followers flock to the champions of the Word Bearers, damning their souls, seeking promises of dark power. That's his one CP. Use the stratagem in your command phase. Select one Word Bearer cultist unit from your army within 12 inches of a friendly Word Bearer's character unit. Until the start of your next command phase, you can re-roll charge rolls for that unit. And each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you can re-roll that attack's hit roll. Oh, so that makes everybody's attack. Okay. That's not too bad. That's especially if you have some like giant, 20 model mob that's beating up on something. That'd be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Lots of re-rolls to hit in this so far. Next is Cannon Fodder, Iron Warrior Strategic Play Stratagem, 2 CP. Yeah. The Iron Warriors see their thrall servants as mere tools, fit only to soak up the foe's ammunition and clog their blades. Now, I take umbrage at this. Like, wouldn't the Iron Warriors just decide, all right, fine, we'll just die. You guys stay here. It's fine. We'll just die. You think maybe they have less disdain for the lives of their cultists than they do for themselves? Could be. I'll buy that.
Maybe.
So use this stratagem at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. Select an Iron Warriors infantry unit, then select one friendly Iron Warriors cultist unit wholly within 6 inches. Until the end of the phase, enemy units cannot target the Iron Warriors infantry unit if that Iron Warriors cultist unit is closer. So it's basically Grout Shields with cultists. I could have just said that instead of reading that whole thing.
Well, for some reason, I think there's one of the Horse Heresy novels does talk about like the human auxiliary of Iron Warriors, but I don't remember which novel it is. And I'm trying to remember how they treated them.
Probably like garbage.
Yeah.
What's the next one, Jason?
Ritual Offerings. So this is any Chaos Space Marine strategic ploy stratagem. Those unfortunate enough to be taken alive by Chaos cultists only serve as fuel for their fanatical devotions. So use this stratagem when an enemy unit is destroyed by a traitorous Astartes cultist unit from your army. Until the end of the battle, that cultist unit automatically passes morale tests. Oh, that's good. Big. Each time a model in this cultist unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. Oh, that one's actually a good one too.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of hit rolls to hit, and I can imagine like using this on the accursed cultist gets a little bonkers because they're already hitting. They're wounding really well. Mm-hmm. So hitting really well and wounding really well is usually that's a lot. So anyways, we get Tide of Traitors returns. Mm-hmm. The galaxy is filled with the countless pathetic wretches hiding in the shadows and waiting for their opportunity to give themselves willingly to the chaos. This one, you pick a cultist mob, so it's not the special cultist, but just the cultist mob.
Right.
Either within 6 inches of a battlefield edge or your deployment zone. And then you can regenerate D3+3 models.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
That is very nice. Next up is Alpha Legion Warlord trait, Cult Leader. This warlord directs the local cults personally, having trained and owned their skills during countless undercover operations of rebellion and insurgency. In your command phase, you can select one friendly Alpha Legion cultist unit within 9 inches of this warlord. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to that attack's hit roll and improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Real quick question. Did they actually have Thousand Suns cultists in here or Saint cultists, or they just leave that alone?
No.
Okay. Just, they do have cultists in Thousand Suns book, but they're
okay.
There's no reason. There's no reason to take them.
Yeah, no, you have sweet Zangor. So this one's really cool. +1 to hit and AP 1. Unfortunately, you can't put this. You have to put this on a Chaos Space Marine. All of the Warlord traits say that, like, at this top of the Warlord trait page, it says, like, you can't take any of these for a cultist HQ unless it specifically says so. They really don't want you, like, making a cultist army.
You're right. I don't think they do either. I think this is... I mean, I could see how it would... I could see how it'd be broken. I could see it'd be broken real quick.
Yeah, if you're just using it to take minimum cultists, not if you're taking a whole cultist army.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways,
I mean, I keep thinking about too much. Well, I keep thinking about how our buddy Phil would basically max out each unit of cultists and make sure that they died. You know, that's
good. That's good.
You know, or be happy if someone brought that so we could drop all the templates on them. So, yeah. All right.
So here's my favorite stratagem. Okay. Dave really likes it too. It's called Contempt Over Caution, and you can shoot a unit that is engaged with one of your friendly units. It costs 2 CP unless the unit that's engaged is a cultist unit, in which case it only costs 1 CP.
Okay.
It's pretty great. You can't use rerolls to hit.
Yeah.
And if you roll a 1, that attack scores a hit against the friendly unit. And you have to resolve the attacks against them anyways. But if they're cultists, nobody cares.
That's right.
This is literally probably Phil's favorite stratagem ever.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
We have some crusade rules that are involved with that specifically target cultists. Do you want to talk about this requisition?
Let's see if I can see it. All right. Cult Uprising. Amongst the myriad cults sponsored by the Alpha Legion are highly trained human operatives. Employed as agents for many years, they are highly capable in comparison to the wider mobs. So purchase this requisition when you add an Alpha Legion cultist unit to your order of battle. That unit gains 6 experience points. Wow. And therefore gains the blooded rank. Select 1 battle honor for that unit as normal.
Yep.
For 1 requisition point? You're
making a super sweet cult unit. I love it.
That's pretty big. I like that. I like that quite a bit. That'd actually be nice to have in other codexes, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really fun. I like that. Yeah, like upgrade your crappy unit.
Yeah.
To make commando versions of that unit.
Yeah.
There is a list of specific cultists unit battle traits.
Yeah.
Every single one of these 3 battle traits just gives you something you should have had already. Well, okay, not should have had already.
I'm seeing that.
One gives you core, one gives you let the galaxy burn, and the other one gives you a legion trait, which is fine. Anyways,
well, this is in Crusade, which
this is Crusade, yeah.
I guess what they're trying to do is to make sure that they don't have 1,000 cultist armies that overrun all the matched play, so that at Adepticon or Gen Con or whatever the next big thing is, they don't have the top 4-5 tables all be cultist armies.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I mean, like that happened before. Sorry. Harlequins. Sorry.
So Crusade relics can't be taken by cultists unless it specifically says. So the one that is allowed to be taken is called Sigil of... Oh, no. There are two. Sigil of the Shadow Lord and the Burning Rod. Now, I'm going to have you take the Sigil of the Shadow Lord. Because I definitely want to take the Burning Rod.
Okay, I need to make sure I know where to edit. Okay.
What?
Sigil of the Shadow Lord. This rune-bound icon hangs from the neck on chains of black iron. The glossy orb at its center is said to be the Eye of the Shadow Lord, its unblinking stare able to repulse the deadliest attacks. Is this the Eye of Sauron? Maybe. This relic can be given to a cultist's model. That kind of bothers me that we have the word cultists, plural, model.
Yeah, because it's a keyword.
Yeah, that's a little painful for me. The bear has a 4-up invul save. Okay.
Good for them.
Yeah, it means that guy might live. Each time the bearer would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6 on a 4-up. That wound is not lost. Oh, wow. That's huge.
And this is good. Yeah, this is if you're... This is really huge. As if you're going for, I want a cool cultist character. Yeah. And I want them to not be super, hardcore street trash.
Right,
I think that's nice.
All right, so you want to talk about the Burning Rod?
Oh, do I ever? Okay, the Burning Rod. This demonic stave whispers forbidden secrets, searing the ears of nearby unbelievers and driving them insane with true revelations of chaos. So it's force stave commune stave. The commune stave is what the cultists have.
Okay.
And it's +3 strength, -2 AP, damage D3. So it's better AP, better strength. Yeah, a little better than a regular force weapon.
Yeah.
Select a unit that they fought against but not destroyed. Roll a 3d3. If it's greater than their leadership, the unit suffers 3 mortal wounds.
Okay.
So if I didn't kill you, you might catch on fire. You might catch evil fire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. That can be a staff or a rod, or what was the other? Okay,
staff or
staff. Okay, that's not too bad. That could be interesting That could be a good thing to add if you had like a sorcerer or something else that you've got. All right.
So that's it for rules that are specifically targeting cultists. Obviously, there's all the other stratagems that are generic, but a lot of those actually can't be used on cultists anyways. So let's think about this. Like, how would you come up with either an army of renown or a crusade force that focuses on cultists? Obviously, like, there's the obvious thing is the list limitation of having to have as many Chaos Space Marine units as cultist units. Right. That's got to go.
Yeah,
that's right out. You can't have that in this army of renown. I would say,
would this be kind of a generic army of renown, or would it be like a Word Bearer's army or a Alpha Legion army? Or
I would say generic, but honestly, they'd be more likely to have it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think I wouldn't say it has to be either like Word Bearers or. I mean, it could.
I was just thinking that maybe if, we're rumored to be getting an Emperor's Children Codex, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, for them, if you did that, I would basically say you need more. What's that unit that was mutants and whatever? That they should probably have
accursed cultists.
Yeah, they should probably have more accursed cultists, or they should have a
a
premium for that. But instead of that, Okay, sorry, go ahead.
What do you think about letting them take Marks of Chaos? So Mark of Chaos is +1 power.
Okay.
So you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Let's see what the Marks of Chaos do.
I mean, I guess you could, because it would allow you to take a cultist, warband or army that you could really make flavorful. Like maybe they're not exactly, Alpha Legion or Iron Warriors or anything like that, but they've got their own. Maybe they're devoted to Nurgle, but they're not Death Guard, or maybe they're devoted to Tzeentch, but they're not Thousand Suns. I think I like the idea of it, because then they don't become that other stuff. Yeah.
Khorne is +1 strength on the charge.
Mm-hmm.
Nurgle is -1 to wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Equals 2, or is at least double the toughness.
Right.
Okay.
Mark.
Once per turn, Tzeentch. Damage characteristic changed to 0 on the first attack.
Oh,
so
okay.
Whatever the first attack is, it's just negated. Dave really liked that a lot playing against me.
I could see that being a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, no, it's cool. You basically save a cultist, or the accursed cultist would really like that. Yeah. Marco Slaanesh starts the fight phase with an engagement roll. He gets fights first. Slaanesh units get to fight first.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
So no matter what, it's +1 power for characters or core units. What about this? What if for every so you're allowed to put Marks of Chaos on characters,
right?
But for each character that has a Mark of Chaos, you may select one
cult unit that has
cultist
the mark
horde to also have the mark.
I like that.
That kind of limits it. You're limited by the number of HQs.
Right. Yeah.
So
then you actually want to go through and have more HQs. That's okay. Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
I like that idea. I'll put that in the final the final Mark 1 version. But what I need to think of is, right now it's a bunch of guys on foot, maybe some in a rhino, big hordes of these like cultists, like deranged, mutated cultists on foot running forward. How do you play that and make it interesting to play? I can't imagine. I think maybe we need like a special warlord trait for the HQ unit that lets them like look out serve for the whole unit.
Oh, so you can't go through and just mow them down as they run towards you.
Yeah, just for the HQ unit, the HQ warlord. I think that'll make it more fun. That way your HQ just doesn't get mowed down by heavy weapons fire.
I don't know. Maybe there could be. I mean, you could keep your HQ at the back of your army. I mean, that's right. And let's be honest. When you're dealing with cultists, that's normally what would happen. They'd flood the front ends with your troop choices. So, I mean, you could go through and. I don't know. I've got ideas, but I don't know that they would work.
Yeah, I got to think about ways that like cultists are used in battle.
Yeah,
they're either thrown in as cannon fodder, which is clearly what the regular Chaos Space Marine unit uses that, or army uses them as, since it's 1-for-1. They're meant to be put forward, and then they just die because they're being used as screens.
Well, I have a question.
Tanks and for
What about Genestealer Cult? What did they do for their HQs?
This is what I'm getting at. Like some kind of deployment mechanism that makes them like sneaky.
Yeah,
like more sneaky deployment methods that might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
From Gene Stealer cults. Gene Stealer cults use the blips to come on, and they burst from underground. I wouldn't do that with these guys. They would be more like an outflanking type situation.
Well, that too.
Sure.
I mean, I think they should be able to come on from about any board edge, maybe as a flanking thing, just because one, they're really not that strong, they're not that brutal. But their chaos cults would, show up from anywhere. They just, appear.
Maybe extra power level when you use strategic reserves.
Yeah.
Normally it costs 1 CP to bring on, I think it was 9 power level.
Okay.
And they come in outflank. So what if we increase that to like 12?
Okay.
Or so that would give you 3 full units of cultists in strategic reserve for 1 command point.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Or leave it the way it is and like let them start a little closer, or give them reroll 1s to hit when they arrive. Like, haha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Or the old rule was Hammer of Wrath.
Right.
Yeah.
If they charge the turn they come in from reserve, they get +1 to hit or +1 to wound, something like that.
Yeah, just to show that, surprise, we're here. I think that would be that'd be nice and tasty. Flavorful.
One thing that the cultist mob would not have is the ability to kill a vehicle in any way, shape, or form.
Well, only
maybe
if you
few mortal wounds.
Only if they were ground up underneath and just happen to choke up the engine.
I love where your mind is at here, buddy, because I feel like I'm in the same. I was thinking, like, what if there was a stratagem?
Oh, where they
where they actually throw themselves into the tracks of the vehicle and do mortal wounds, like when during the combat phase, you do D3 mortal wounds to a vehicle, but you also do D3 mortal wounds to the cultist mob.
I like that. I like that a lot. The thing is, maybe you have it set up to where if you disable the vehicle, it doesn't explode. It just, it dies on them, and so it can't be moved. It can't be operated.
Poof. Yeah.
Yeah.
No explosion roll.
Yeah. No, which is an anathema to the way that I like to play. But I think going through and grinding up cultists is much more entertaining. At least
it sure
in
is.
this regards.
Yeah, it sure is. That's a lot of fun.
This is really
that's
twisted.
Interesting. They do have the grenade launcher. Maybe a You know how they have stratagems for special grenades in some of these, like the stick bomb and the melt bomb.
Yeah.
What about like a stratagem for special ammo in the grenade launcher?
Like grape shot or something, or
I think I would like look up the different kinds of real life grenades and try to come up with like a few options for either having different stratagems or a single stratagem that can be used different ways for different types of ammo. That way there could at least be like one melta charge in there.
Right.
Do one like that's melta.
Yeah, like phosphorus, like have one that,
like a phosphor charge.
Yeah.
That does like it doesn't do damage. Instead, like it does D3 mortals to a vehicle or something.
Yeah.
Or it has a different damage. Like it has a melta profile. Like, if you're within half range, you do D6 +2 or something like that. If you hit the vehicle. Okay. I mean, they're not going to hit, so who cares?
Sure.
Okay.
Or we can melt a bomb.
Yeah. Just so we can melt them. I really like. I would love to just say, okay, also take Imperial Guard tanks, but then you're just getting weird.
Yeah.
It's really a cultist mob. It's not meant to be a
Traitor Guard.
Yeah. I wouldn't even take any Traitor Guard units from Blackstone Fortress with this. But I would say, go ahead and add the sanctioned psyker, the unsanctioned psyker.
Right.
Was it Rogue Psyker? Ogren, Beastman for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the Beastman and maybe the Ogren in here, just for funsies. But also, this also is going to have the spawn, and that'll be fun having those guys. It'll be really fast and really lots of bodies, and they're just going to be gumming up the enemy and maybe doing some actions.
Yeah.
I think it could be fun. As long as you have a few ways of, throwing, again, like things like throwing yourself into the treads of a vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for that Army of Renown. I wanted to talk quickly about Kill Team. I think Kill Team is the perfect game for cult activity.
Yeah.
And whether it's against the Inquisition or one another or against Space Marines or like what have you. But the Kill Team is just as disappointing as 40K when it comes to cultists, like trying to run a cultist army or cultist kill team.
Yeah.
Because you can't so you get 2 fire teams in a Traitor Space Marine kill team. 2 fire teams. One of them, if you want to take a cultist fire team, you have to also take a Space Marine fire team.
Yeah.
We suggest you break this rule like a bad habit.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Because what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a real like cultist army, it's not, the Space Marines are not going to happen.
Yeah, and all the rules are based on the old kits, so they only have 2 special weapons. But I was thinking you could run your accursed cultist torments as counts as Chaos Space Marines with a chainsword.
That could work.
So those big models with the goofy like appendages and stuff, those could be, you could run those counts as Chaos Space Marines. I don't think anybody would mind that.
Yeah, I think that'd work. Yeah,
they would just have like cool, like they'd have a good armor save, but whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
You could even add some bits to make it make sense, especially since the Chaos Space Marines do have a bolt pistol as well. So maybe you could mold on some kind of weird like flame attack or something coming from their mouth, or maybe they're holding a bolt pistol, whatever.
Yeah.
I might go with that.
Okay.
But
that would work. Yeah.
Honestly, I think Kill Team is good. Even better if you're like GMing something where there's just waves of cultists coming in and trying to kill the Space Marines, and they're mowing them down. And it's just a good time had by all, personally.
Well, things, I haven't played Kill Team in a bit, just because I haven't. So I have to go back and relearn all that. But I just remember some things just being incredibly tough, not because they were really tough, but just because you had, certain rules that allowed you to make saves and whatnot. So,
yeah. So I think the long story short of this section is matched play has made it very disappointing to try and play a cultist army. Like you used to be able to just play all cultists. It was great. Now they added a couple of new cultist units, and it's freaking awesome, but you can't actually run a cultist army in match play.
Yeah.
Or narrative play, really. So it's up to us, We can play this game however we want. Yeah. Don't tell us what to do. How dare you? I'll do what I want. I'm grown. But yeah, it's a little unfortunate rules wise, but I think there's some really cool, fun stuff in here. And if you just break the rules a little bit, especially if you're gonna, I think the real problem comes when you're trying to like add good powerful units along with the cultists that you have problems. If you're just running all cultists, I don't see how there's a problem with having breaking the limitation rules. Personally,
yeah, these guys get mowed down. Morale 6 up. Yeah.
All right, dude. We're gonna come back and close out the show.
Come here, boy. Get the ball. Aw, come on, Max. Get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotabix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Zotabix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy. I'd better feed Max his Zotabix.
Yes, you had.
Zotabix is made in part from grade A Astra Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins and minerals harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert deathwoods. Zotabix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Welcome back, everyone. Jason.
Adam.
Hi. So that was fun. There's some cool stuff in here. There's definitely some hard stuff to think about, but sometimes you got to think about it. I am excited about our next episode. We're going to play the first. I'm not even going to tell anybody what it is. I'm not even going to I'm not going to
describe it. Okay.
Reveal what the mission is going to be or what the armies are, but it's called Incursion in Lucky Space. That's the new campaign. We're going to do 6 episodes. I think we'll probably accelerate advancement for the units.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, I think. I think we've got a good concept here, and I think you guys are going to like it. I think we should also try to get one game of Titanicus in when I get back from vacation as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I've got the models, I've got the rules. I need to kind of learn what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because let's live dangerously. Let's actually act like we know what we're doing.
And if Legions of Voltan come out, I will endeavor to have an episode on pre-order day, but we'll see. But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge.
And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
If you'd like to engage with us directly, you can always join our Discord server.
To do so, or if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor,
contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com.
Please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/mastersoftheforge. Thanks.
The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission. This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.